Hi, I'm Hannah Howard. I'm the editor-in-chief at ParentCo, and I'm here with ParentCo's designer, Hayley Zorzi, and we're going to talk about all things Potty. So, Hayley, if you wouldn't mind saying a little bit about yourself and your role as a mom and a designer.
Yes, so like Hannah said, I'm the brand designer with ParentCo. I'm a mom to a 3-year-old, Sloan, and then I'm also currently pregnant, 31 weeks, with our another little girl that'll be due in December. Um, we actually just got started. We actually just did potty training about a month and a half ago. So this is
Wow, so
very
you're
fresh,
fresh.
very fresh for us. It was our second attempt. It was one of those things where she can't move up in class unless she is potty trained. So we felt a lot of the pressure to like get her going on it, which is difficult when you work from home and like you are, I'm an entrepreneur. My husband and I own our business together. And so it was coordinating our schedules to where we could both be home and give her our undivided attention. And the first time we tried, we kind of just were winging it. We didn't know what was going to work best for her. So we did the timer thing where we have her sit down every 15 minutes. Eventually, she got really tired of that. And even now, like, she has the little timer and she'll move it out of her playroom because she doesn't like it. So it caused too much pressure for her, I think.
Okay, so it was like you put the timer and then every so often she had to go sit on the toilet. Was that how you were
Yes.
trying it?
Yes.
And she did not respond so well to that.
She did not. And she's very strong willed, um, a little stubborn, as a lot of toddlers are. And so she just did not like this clock telling her when she had to go to the bathroom. And so we tried it for a good 24 hours and we were like, this is not working. So we gave her some time. At that point, she hadn't even turned 3 yet. And we were just like, I just don't think she's ready. She's not comprehending it. So we waited and kind of let the summer go by. She had a break before school started again. And so we're like, okay, this is the time because at this point we don't know what class she'll be in because she hasn't potty trained yet. So we don't want to hold her back, but we also don't want to pressure her in any way to do something that she's not ready to do. So I did a lot of research and we found Big Little Feelings. It's this company that it's these two moms and they had this potty class that I had heard great things about. It's like $30. I was like, this is worth it if I can have somebody tell me what to do. Because as a parent, we're all just like figuring it out. And so even when Sloan was a newborn, I like obsessively made a spreadsheet of like, when does she eat? When does she nap? When's her wake windows? Just because I needed somebody in that fog of newborn life to just like tell me what to do so that I had a clear schedule of like, this is this. My husband and I can both look at it and know like, this is when she eats. This is when she sleeps. This is what's normal, what's not normal. And so I kind of took the same approach with potty training. And so my husband and I, we put Sloan to bed one night and we put the class on. We put it on like one and a half times so it would go faster.
I mean, that's time as a parent, right? Like, who
It's
has
like
time for anything?
hours. And it was our evening. So evenings are sacred. Every parent knows that. So I was like, we gotta speed this up. So we went as fast as we could without like not knowing what it was saying. And then the main goal of this particular class was you are teaching them to listen to their bodies. It's all about their timing and their need or urge to go to the bathroom. So if we're forcing them to sit down every so often, they're not actually listening to their bodies. So they were and it's not like celebratory based. So if she goes, you're supposed to be super cool, which as a parent, you're like, my husband and I would look at each other like, she did it, but like, don't say anything to her. Because it's like, we want her to know that going the potty is just part of life and it's not this special thing that you get to have a treat for every time you go. And that's what we didn't want to set up, which that works for a lot of kids. I think with Sloan, she would have just done it for the treat and then would have been upset if she didn't get it. So I was trying to like nix any type of thing that could cause her to associate it. And so we just started with you, I think it's like a 3-day thing. You have to be home the whole time, which as you know, you work from home, you do all of the things that you do for your business and your work are at home these days. So it's just very hard to separate sometimes. So we had to be really intentional about, okay, we have to watch her like a hawk and watch all of her signs. What's it going to look like when she has to go to the bathroom? Is she going to dance? Is she going to like just stop and stare at the wall, which is what she does? And so I think first day she was like fully nude. Second day she got to add on like a t-shirt, like Winnie the Pooh style. Third
You
day,
have to choose a warm weather day to do this then,
yes,
right? Like,
it was like August. And then third day you got to put pants on, but still no pull-ups, still no underwear. It's basically getting them to associate the feeling of needing to go with nothing hindering them. And so I think she might have had one accident. It was really more so once she got it in the potty and realized that's what we were asking her to do, she was like, "Oh, okay. Like I understand now what it is that you're doing."
yes. I
And
feel like you can almost see something in their little brains like clicking, like,
yeah,
okay, this is
they're
the
like, "We
thing.
just
Yeah.
need this one hurdle and then she'll get it." Like we just knew it. So the very first time she was like, "I don't want to sit on it. I don't want to sit on it." She started peeing on the floor and my husband picked her up, put her on the potty. And then she was like, "Oh," because no kid wants to just like pee on themselves. Like that's the reason why you don't have any clothes on is so that you can feel what it feels like. Um, and so once she got it, it was like constant reminders of like, okay, listen to your body. You're not saying like, hey, go sit on the potty now. You're saying when you feel that feeling in your tummy, just go sit on the potty. It's right here. Like making sure they know exactly where it is in the room. Like if she goes to her playroom, the potty goes there. If she's in the living room, potty's going too. So now like she got it. Like that first day, she really got it. And then she was doing both pooping and peeing. And then we were like just celebrating, but not too loud. So it was just a lot of like, really good job. Like you listen to your body. That's really good. And then that's kind of it. So we just kept reminding her, listen to your body. You know when you need to go. You know, you're in control, which every toddler loves to be in control.
Yes.
Really worked for her.
Yeah.
By that day 3, we were leaving the house and we would just bring the potty with us. And now she's, going at school and she's still a little scared of like big potties, like the ones that flush by themselves and like in restaurants and stuff. And if she's feeling a little uncomfortable, she wants to be on the little potty because that's like more comfortable, I think. But she's doing well. And at only, 2 months potty trained, there's still times where she's would rather play than go potty. And so she'll have an accident, but they say, don't say that it's okay because it's not. Just say, oh, you didn't listen to your body this time. Next time we'll try better. So there's no confusion of like, oh, mom said it's fine that I did this. So I think it's so tough. There's so many different methods, and it really is just which one is your kid going to respond to the most.
Yes.
And I know I reached out to you when we were starting to get like some more tips because you had like more Montessori based with very particular verbiage and stuff. And so I took
Yeah.
some of that too. And one of the big things was like be consistent with whatever you call it so
Mm.
that they know like because there's been times where I'll say toilet and she's like, what are you talking about?
Mm.
She's
So what do you say? You say potty or what do
potty.
you
Yeah, we'll say
potty?
potty.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then she'll say little potty or big potty, depending on if she wants to be on the one that's on the ground or like a big potty.
Hmm.
Right now, it's getting her comfortable with using bigger potties, which she can. But if she's having trouble going or she's like more timid, she wants her little potty. It's just comfortable.
Yeah.
There's
I
stickers on it, you know.
We have the same experience with the new kind of new potty. It's funny because so my I have a daughter who's 3.5, Simone, and I can't even say baby anymore, another toddler, Julius, who's going to be 2 in about a month. And when we were first go we it was been about a year now. She was about 2.5 when we did the potty training, or we send our kids to a Montessori school. So like you were saying, they have very specific rules that we try our best to keep this consistent at home. So they call it potty learning, not potty training. The same idea. It's like you're learning about your body and navigating through the world in that body. And
We're not training animals, we're teaching humans. Yeah.
exactly.
We were like, oh
Um,
wow, I didn't know that this was such an issue, like an issue. So
Yeah, and I think that I can get wrapped up in like, oh, I've been saying it wrong. But you know what? It's like nobody is perfect. And I think these things like are always evolving and in flux. And just because you use a different word doesn't mean like we don't think our children are animals, right? Like, but we're teaching them, and sometimes things change. And anyway, I was going to share that Simone used to be terrified, understandably, of the bathrooms at Costco. And I can sort of see why. It's like it's everything is big at Costco, right? So it's like a lot of bathrooms, everything is automatic, it's noisy. So we would try when we went to Costco, we'd definitely be careful about going at home and everything. And then recently something changed, and now she loves going to the bathroom at Costco. And she's like, "Can we go to the bathroom as soon as we get there?" And she just kind of looks at all this huge row of toilets, and she's choosing her favorite one. And she used to be terrified of that loud noise that the hair hand dryer makes, understandably. And now she thinks it's so cool, and she's like, "Can we do it again?" So it's funny to see these things shift. But when we had a family trip to France about a month ago, and she was terrified of the airplane bathroom, which was interesting and kind of understandable. Like, who likes the airplane bathroom? So we actually ended up, she just refused to use it. And so we had Julius's diapers with us. We still use diapers at night. But anyway, we ended up putting a diaper on her to go pee because she didn't want to do it in the bathroom, and we didn't see another choice. So I feel like we're all navigating these things that arise the best we can.
and toddlers are so particular, especially at the age of 3, I'm learning. And even Simone being just a little bit older than Sloane, like you can see, it gives me hope that like, oh, she's going to get even not being scared of the hand dryer or the automatic flush. Like those are things like she's like, I don't want to wash my hands because she doesn't want to do the dryer, or like it's just so many things like that where it's nice to know that eventually they will grow out of it, and everything is a stage, and like everything that feels so particular right now will not be an issue in maybe a month or so.
Yeah.
And it
I
always
think
feels,
that's like good parenting
yeah, it
wisdom generally,
feels
right? It's like
so,
it
yeah.
feels you're so in it, so it is at the moment like really real and big. But then right, it could be a week, a month, completely changed.
And then you get to where, oh my gosh, she's in panties. She's a big girl, but she wants to pick exactly which ones she wants. And if those are dirty, then we have a meltdown. Or if she wants Buzz Lightyear's pull up for bedtime, not Olaf, like it's
Mhm.
just all of those little things now where I'm like, okay, well, before we had no issue. Now she cares because she has control over this thing that she's done. So now she wants more of a choice, which then as a parent, you're like, okay, this makes things a lot harder. Like,
Right, it's like harder in a different way, right? Like you're
like you're
not
potty trained,
dealing
I'm
with
not
like
changing
dirty
diapers anymore.
diapers.
But also, it's going to take us twice as long to just get changed because you get a say in what color you want to wear for your underwear. And now it's what dress do I want to wear today? I want to wear the one that's dirty. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
just
We have but we had that experience with Julius this morning. We got at this last trip to Costco, we got these really cozy brown bear pajamas, and he has become obsessed with them. I mean, over this is a week for the week. And it's like, well, we have to wash them at some point. And he really did not want to take them off this morning to go to preschool. And I was like, can't wear pajamas to preschool. Um,
There's definitely been times where there's this one dress that my dad got her, and it's she calls it her red, blue, and other blue dress because it's got like a dark blue and light blue, and she wants to wear it all the time because she says it twirls the best. Which little girls are great, and so she wanted to sleep in it, but then she also wants to wear it to school. And there was one week where my husband was out of town, and I was like, you know what, you can wear this to school. It's like, I'm not fighting this. You didn't pee on it. It's okay. Let's go to school in your
I
dress.
mean, you have to choose your battles, right? Like,
It really is.
I almost was to the point this morning with the brown bear pajamas, but my yeah.
Mhm.
But I managed to get him out of them and into some very comfortable sweatpants.
And I've noticed too for myself because I'm pregnant, my emotions are much more at the surface. So I'm having to give myself and her a lot more grace and patience because, potty training while pregnant, like you're on the floor, you're up and you're down, and there's all of these things. There's big emotions from them and then also from you because one, you're more irritable, I think, but also just I think more emotional and like, oh, this is my baby, and she's not a baby anymore. And I have this other baby coming. And then also, as Eric liked to remind me yesterday that I'm going to have to do this again in about 2 years, which was really nice of him to say that. So I was like,
You know what? It's going to be a different experience because I have that coming up too, and it's interesting, like the little sibling, and I'm an only child, so the sort of sibling things are new to me. And Simone will say, another thing that we're doing a lot is like every excuse in the whole world to delay going to bed. So even though we go to the toilet before bed, she'll have to go again.
yeah,
Um, so Simone will say like, I need to go pee, I need to go potty. And Julius, who's still wearing diapers, will say, me too, potty, potty. So I feel like he's kind of getting the idea about the potty from watching her, which is really cool. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully that will make it a little bit easier,
there's
but
been stories I've read where, the older sibling teaches the youngest how to go potty,
yeah.
so I think they're more susceptible to that kind of not pressure, but like, oh, my sibling is doing it. I want to do that too.
Well,
Um,
I think we had a really relatively painless potty experience with Simone in large part because they kind of take that principle in this preschool that she goes to and they do potty time together with the older kids and the little kids. So the older kids like see the whole process. And I think if they're interested, like they can sit on the potty. And so I think there is really something about maybe the positive side of peer pressure, right? Just seeing the older kids doing it and wanting to do it too.
or if you have a very strong-willed child like mine who will not do anything and she doesn't want to do. So we thought that her seeing all of her friends in class go potty would make her want to go. And she's like, no, nope, not
Yeah.
interested. Don't want
Yeah,
to.
she and Simone should hang out because every like teacher or something is like this girl is going to be in charge of something. She is always has a vision, doesn't matter whether or not it makes any sense to anybody else.
Hmm.
But I think as a parent, often it's highly difficult and frustrating. But I do hope for Sloane and Simone, I believe that it's going to serve them really well as they grow up in their lives to like have that connection to what they want, what they believe.
And I'm
Yeah.
curious too for you what it'll be like not training, learning, potty learning with Simone versus Julius.
Yeah.
I'll have two girls, so
Yeah.
I know, it will probably be a little bit similar, but for you, it's going to be two totally different experiences, which is just normal. I mean, and on top of every kid being different.
Yeah. I think you'll have a different experience too. Like it's right. You have a baby girl coming, but she's going to be your own person. And I bet she'll have a really different personality than Sloane does. And it will, unfold. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Sloane is very much like her father, is very outgoing and loud and fun. And I'm hoping maybe this one will be a little more chill like me, just for
Who
my
knows,
sake,
right?
but
It's
we'll
like,
see. I mean,
yeah, you really see that right, she is who she is, right? Like just from the beginning. And I've seen that with both my kids. Like they're just themselves. And you see like pieces of you, pieces of your partner, and then I think some of it is just like, that's
your
just
own
you.
thing.
You
Yes.
do you, girl.
Yeah.
Do you have any potty learning, anything like you wish you knew when you were starting out, or any advice for parents who are embarking on this journey?
Um, One thing one of my friends said to me, I was kind of talking to her before we started of how much pressure I felt, how I felt unequipped to teach another human being how to go to the bathroom. It's just like something that you don't really think about. And then when you stop to like actually ruminate on it, you're like, oh, this is so weird. Like, I'm teaching this tiny little human that I brought into the world how to empty their bowels. It's very strange. And she was like, the more pressure that you put on them to do it, the more pressure they'll feel and push back. And so it's going to be messy. You clean up messes every day anyway. So if you approach it in that way of like there will be a mess, it's not like I'm going to do everything in my power to make it so it's not. Because the whole point is that she understands the difference of going potty on herself versus in the potty. And so if you take the pressure off of like, okay, well, as a mother, I clean up messes every day. This is not going to be any different. We're going to try. We're going to do it together. We're learning together because ultimately, like, someone taught us how to go. They're not going to be in college still in pull ups. Like, it's the same way when they're starting to learn how to eat solids, and you're like, my child is going to only live off pouches forever. Like, this is the only thing they'll eat. And then eventually they find their things and they grow out of it. And so, like we were talking about, it's all stages. So we'll get past this really hard part of potty learning, and then we'll some point look back and be like, oh, remember when she learned so fast, but it felt so slow to us? Like she learned in 3 days. Like that's amazing. Or it was really hard, but look, we had to clean up poop off the floor, but look at her now, like it's kind of shifting the perspective because I could get in my head about it and get really anxious. I'm an anxious person. And that piece of advice really helped me to like normalize it, I think, a little so that it wasn't so scary.
I love that. I love the reminder that this too shall pass. It's so true. Like, you do not get through being a parent without cleaning up a lot of messes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, sure, it might help your kid because they can sense your anxiety if you take some pressure off yourself. But like, even if it doesn't help your kid, I just feel like I'm gonna have to do this. And I'm also definitely have a tendency towards anxiety. And it's like I could do this with like a lot of pressure and worry, or maybe I could do it with like a little less pressure and worry. And I just rather choose that path as much as I can every time. It's easier said than done, but
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to worry about as a parent,
oh
but
my gosh,
if there's something
constantly.
like potty training that feels like such a big milestone, if we can take the pressure off of like, hey, we all do this. This is just normal. Like, there's no, and also realizing these are 3 year olds, 2 year olds, 3 year olds. Like, we have to have so much patience for them and for ourselves.
Yes.
Like, it's hard, it's something that we do that they've never done before. And you're
Yep.
taking this comfort away from them that they have always had a pull-up or always had a diaper. And now you're telling them that they can't have it anymore. And so what would that feel like for you if you had something taken away that brought you comfort your whole life? So kind of having that perspective of like, this is such a big shift for them. And we wanted to make sure that we did a lot of these big milestones spaced out before the baby came because we knew that that also would be a really big shift in her life. So we've done, big girl bed, potty. Now we have to get rid of the passy, which one friend did tell me, she said, save it for last because you're going to need it for all the other ones. So
Smart.
do that one
Smart.
last.
Our kids never were interested in the passy, which was tough when they were a baby because we were like, come on. But one less transition now.
It's true.
But I think it's right. It's like it's going to be just like there's can be some like physical messiness of the potty process, like, and there's the emotional messiness that you're going to navigate when you bring a new person into your family. But like you're going to walk through it just like you walked through these other things before, and it's really exciting. And I know it's also going to be hard because it's always hard, right? But it's going to be amazing too.
So many hormones.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have one more potty question.
Okay.
Any kind of, you mentioned like having a potty easy to access wherever you are in the house. Do you have any supplies or things that you recommend parents acquire to be prepared for the potty situation?
Um, we did have like I got some little tiny treats, not like food treats, but like Play-Doh or from like the Target dollar bin, like kinetic sand, things that when we needed her to sit and not want to immediately get up and like actually sit and listen to her body, I would pull these out, like whether it was like a new book or a new little fun toy, something that got her engaged to sit and wait and listen to her body was really helpful. One thing I wish I had was the lids, the potty lids that are attached to like the adult one. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you can lift up the small one, but also have the big one. Because
Yes.
that's the thing when
Yes.
you get like a separate one, they're great, but then you're always having to take it off if you also have to go to the bathroom. And then like a step stool in like every bathroom is needed because we only had one at the time, and I was like constantly moving it around because you're trying to teach them how to eventually do it themselves and wash their hands and do all of that. And so before she actually did potty learning, we did all of the steps prior of like learning how to pull your pants up and down so that she could do that herself, washing her hands well, drying them, that whole thing. So that was really helpful when we actually started potty training because she would get excited. Like when she was done, she got to do all of those things that she
Mm.
enjoyed, which was washing her hands and playing in the bubbles and all of that. And so I'd say if you don't feel like your kid is quite ready for actual potty learning, doing those steps beforehand of learning how to pull their clothes on and off, how to wash their hands, how to do all of those steps to help lead them up to doing it actually helps so much because those are a little bit easier. And so once you start the potty learning process, you can be like, well, they already have all of the parts around it. Now we're just getting to the meat of the problem, which is potty learning.
Yeah, and it's all part of the process. And right, like you said, it's giving them this sense of like they are learning all of these things. And even though like I can get bogged down in the nitty-gritty of it, but if you kind of zoom out to the big picture, they are learning like how to take care of their bodies, how to be an independent person in the world and like go about their day and take care of what their body needs. And it is a very like kind of cool life lesson. So I love that idea about breaking it down into the pieces and the process too.
Yeah. And that helps too with if you're someone that's gets overwhelmed with all of the steps and is more naturally anxious. It's like you can start with those smaller things. We can learn how to pull your pants up and down first. And then you can learn how to step up and wash your hands every time maybe they get their pull-up changed or their diaper changed. It's like associating those things together so that when you do get to the point where they're potty learning, you feel like you've actually done something rather than starting from like nothing.
Absolutely.
But
Thank you so much, Haley. I think that's a great potty chat.
yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.